When I was a baby, my parents divorced. It wasn't a mutual agreement. My mother had to file a restraining order against my dad after he broke into my grandmother's house where my mom and I had been staying since the divorce. It got so bad, my mom moved us to the other side of the country with my grandma, just to escape him. We thought we'd seen the last of him then. If only we were right. When we moved, I quickly made friends through my mom. I became best friends with a kid called Francis. Me and Francis were inseparable. We went to kindergarten together, to school. Everywhere one of us went, the other was standing right next to them. The best part was, Francis lived right next door. In fact, my mom and his parents were also close friends, and they recognized that we were best friends, so when we were 5, they took down the fence separating our backyards, making them one big yard. This was even better for Easter, when we could hunt the place for unspeakable amounts of stuff. But everything changed when I was 8 years old. When me and Francis discovered the egg, we thought we had hit the jackpot. It was the heaviest egg we had ever held. It seemed it was full of something, but we couldn't tell what. It was bright yellow and was the size of my mother's head. We found 5 more scattered around in strange places. By the pond, inside a bush, inside a tree. When we brought our baskets into my house, our parents gave us puzzled glances. "You didn't get those eggs, did you?" my grandma asked my mother. My mother shook her head in reply. So did Francis's parents. Carefully, me and Francis opened one of the large eggs. Inside was part of a mangled corpse. It wasn't the whole thing. Instead, in the first egg was the head, split down the middle, the brain hanging out, as well as what appeared to be half the pancreas. The rest was blood. Immediately, my mother's face went pale. Both me and Francis began to cry while our parents dialed 911. When the police arrived, they took the other eggs away. Even the smaller eggs were taken away in order to check for any further human remains. They didn't find the whole body. Many organs, as well as one of the eyes, was missing. The DNA tests and missing reports showed that the body was that of Elizabeth Taylor, a 19-year-old girl who had been attending college in our town, while also working as a waitress on the side at a local diner. The killer was not found. "Where did you find these eggs?" said one of the police detectives as they sat us down. "Exact place." I paused for a second. "In the bush, in the tree, by the pond, outside Francis's rabbit hutch." I paused. "And in the flower bush," interrupted Francis. "And the treehouse," I finished. The detective wrote these all down before she headed outside with a few other officers to search for tracks or clues as to where or who the killer was. We soon began to receive envelopes from the killer containing severed fingers that, when tested, were confirmed to have been some of Elizabeth Taylor's missing digits. After the 10th finger, they stopped. We were left in peace. For a while, at least. After that, life continued as normal. Me and Francis were both traumatized and had to go to therapy, as we had become so superstitious and terrified that we rarely left the safety of our houses. Then, on the night before Easter when I was 9, I anxiously stared out into the yard after having woken from a night terror. As I stared out into the yard, I saw movement coming from the fence. I opened my window and swung my flashlight to get a better view. Climbing into the yard, over the fence, was a man dressed in an Easter bunny costume. There was dried blood caked on the material, the eyes hollow and empty. The man stared up at me and gave me a little wave. He carefully placed a large yellow egg that he clutched in his arms, just by the pond, just like last year. I screamed for help, and my mother came running. She ran to the window and saw the newly placed egg by the pond and the man escaping over the fence. Yet again, the police were called. They opened the egg and found inside the missing parts of Elizabeth Taylor's dead body. There was a blood-soaked, poorly written note atop the remains. Happy Easter. I didn't hear from the killer again until yesterday. Just a few weeks before Easter, I received a letter to our house that read,
I'm sorry it's been so long. Last time I saw you, I was climbing over your fence at Easter when you were 9. I'm sorry that poor girl had to sacrifice herself for our reunion. I did this to have my revenge on your mother, and now it's time we finally meet again. I've been there for you every Easter since the day you were born. Only a few times did I make myself known. I want you to meet me at...
I have removed this address for my own privacy.
On Sunday the 21st of April at 7 p.m. Dear old Dad.
I crumpled the letter in my hand and shook the envelope. A severed finger fell out and landed with a thump on the doormat. Attached was a sticky note that read,
Your mother's finger. She's here with me. Her life is on the line.
I don't know what to do. Kill him? Or try to negotiate? How could he do this to me? Make me paranoid, anxious, ruin my childhood? Murder that poor girl and now kidnap my mom as bait? My head hurts, and I feel like I'm going to throw up. And I've just looked out the window. Hanging from the tree is a blood-splattered bunny costume. Motherfucker. 10 years ago on Easter, I found human remains in Easter eggs. Yesterday, the killer sent me a note. Written by Ryder Schmeider. Read by the White Rabbit.